Hello friends, today I shall be speaking on a very interesting topic, past life regression. In one of my earlier videos which I posted on YouTube titled How Does the Mind Work and What is Hypnosis, I had briefly touched upon the concept of past life regression. Of course, the objective of that video was not to talk about it, so today I thought let me make a video where I can speak at length on what past life regression is. To understand past life regression, the first thing that we need to know is that our mind is made up of two parts. One is what is known as the conscious mind, and the other part of our mind is the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the superficial mind, the mind with which we talk, and the subconscious mind lies deep within us. Metaphysics terms it as subconscious mind. If you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, if you look at the spiritual scriptures, then the Bhagavad Gita talks about the Paramatma or the super soul which is vesting within every human being, and that Paramatma is nothing but the subconscious mind. So Hinduism calls it the Paramatma, metaphysics calls it subconscious mind, the Bible calls it the inner self. So different religions have given different names to the concept, so has metaphysics. End of the day, the bottom line remains the same. So past life regression is nothing but connecting with your subconscious mind for a purpose. In general, normal human beings remain in the trap of their conscious mind. What is the conscious mind? The mind with which we are talking, the mind which is constantly thinking for us. While we are awake all through the day, we are constantly talking to our mind. That mind is the conscious mind. And as long as we are connected to the conscious mind, we cannot connect with our subconscious mind. The conscious mind and the subconscious mind are very different in terms of their characteristics. The conscious mind is extremely practical, it is extremely objective, it is extremely solution oriented, as also very, very conservative. As opposed to that, the subconscious mind is extremely intuitive. It is absolutely borderless. The conscious mind lives within finite borders. It knows the limitation of a person, the person to whom that mind belongs. The subconscious mind knows no limitation. So the subconscious mind is very subjective, highly intuitive. It knows no limitations, and it is very, very vast, so to say. It's nearly infinite. So while conscious mind and subconscious mind both vest in every human body, there's a lot of difference between the two of them, their roles, their characteristics, as also the functions that they carry out in our body. Our sixth sense, our intuitive sense is all linked to the subconscious mind. So past life regression is basically a purpose linked connect with your subconscious mind. Amongst various other qualities of the subconscious mind, or amongst various other functions of the subconscious mind, one of the functions of that piece of our mind is to record every event which is happening in a particular life. If we were to believe the theory of reincarnation, where a soul takes several births on earth in different forms before ultimately achieving the ultimate reality of moksha or salvation, if that theory were to be believed, then the subconscious mind records every incident, every event that has happened in each and every birth of a particular soul through the journey of several births on earth. So if somebody were to ask me, do I have a subconscious mind? Answer is yes. Does my subconscious mind have a record of every prior birth that I have undertaken in my journey as a soul on earth? The answer again is yes. The subconscious mind has a record of my prior births. So past life regression is going to your subconscious mind, helping the subject or the person who wants to connect. The subject here means the person who wants to connect with the subconscious mind. So past life regression is about helping a subject connect with his subconscious mind so that he can pull out glimpses, recordings from the prior lives. And in the prior lives, a lot of truths, harsh as well as sweet truths, are hidden. So I come across, as a hypnotherapist, I come across a lot of cases on a regular basis of people with certain kinds of phobias. Phobia for water, phobia for fire, phobia for getting into a lift, phobia of heights. So people have certain people have these distinctive phobias, and they are dead scared about that particular thing. Likewise, I have also had clients who have been seeing a repetitive dream over and over again right since their childhood. In fact, in the latter part of this video, I shall be narrating two very interesting cases of past life regression that I have myself personally handled. I can talk out of personal experience here, and how that will reinforce the faith of the world in the concept of the subconscious mind and the concept of past life regression. So whenever we have clients who come with a specific phobia which has sustained for a long time, or a person is repetitively seeing a particular dream, those kind of cases where nothing else helps, that's where we use the past life regression therapy to help a person connect with his subconscious mind and pull out recordings of the past. Maybe the answer to the question or the predicament or the problem faced by that particular subject lies in the past life. That's the underlying thought process behind making the person go through the regression. And trust my words, more often than not, the person finds a solution to his phobia or to the repetitive dream that he or she has been seeing after going through regression. Honestly said, I am not a hypnotherapist who does past life regression on a very regular basis. I use it only when necessary. I would have done close to 40 past life regressions in my professional life as a hypnotherapist. Out of the 40 regressions that I have successfully done for my clients, let me be very honest in sharing the numbers with you. Out of the 40 that I did, close to 8 or 9 of my clients just could not connect with their subconscious mind. While going through the regression, we tried our best. We had 3 to 4 sittings for them. Generally, a subject who has to connect with the subconscious will connect in the first sitting itself. But at times, if the person is disturbed or is not in the right frame of mind, we want to give the subject a second chance. So if one sitting fails, then we have a second sitting. If the second sitting fails, we have a third sitting. If the third sitting also fails, that's where we kind of write out that, okay, this person is not strong enough to connect with his subconscious mind. He's not connected with his subconscious mind enough for him to peep in and see what lies in his past. So 7 to 8 clients of mine out of the 40 odd cases that I handled, we failed. I could not help the subject connect with his subconscious mind. Out of the balance 32, close to 6 or 7 had partial connect with their subconscious mind. They could see glimpses of their past and they could successfully connect as well. But unfortunately, what they saw did not make complete sense. We could not build a complete analogy out of what they saw. So some subjects are such that they have a teaser connect with their subconscious mind. They do connect, but the connect is not strong enough for them to give out something really giving out something really substantive or something which is really conclusive in terms of helping that particular subject find a solution to his problem. So 6 or 7 cases were like, okay, the connect has been there. The person has been able to peep into his subconscious mind, but either what he saw was not completely in sync or aligned to what we were expecting him to see in his regression and find a solution to his problem, or there was a break in between. So I would say these were partial connects. The balance 25-26 cases that I handled were completely successful. These subjects could connect with their subconscious mind. They saw valuable stuff from their prior lives in the connect, and all the 25-26 of them found a solution to their problem. So out of 40 odd cases, the success rate was as high as 25-26 out of 40, which makes it roughly a little more than 60%, a little less than 70%. So 60 to 70% is the range of success when a subject is made to undergo past life regression. For believers, they find a solution to their problem. when they undergo past life regression. For non-believers, this is the highest form of hallucination or the highest state of hallucination. I am a very scientific mind. I don't accept things just for the sake of accepting it, or just because somebody learned it has said something about it. I believe in being very analytical. I want to research on my own. I want to find out the why, when, how, who, what next, everything about that on my own. I want to answer all those questions which I have in my heart through self-research, and only then do I trust something. So very scientific mind is talking to you today. I'm not a person who's going to accept things just for the sake of it, and I'll narrate 2 incidents to you from my past life regression experience of my clients, 2 incidents of my clients which shall reinforce your faith in past life regression. Of course, all my clients that come to me for past life regression, I have a no non-disclosure arrangement with them. I'm morally obliged to not disclose their cases before the world. So I'll be absolutely anonymous in these 2 cases also, and I would not want to share the other cases which are extremely anonymous and personal in nature. These 2 cases were not so personal, and because I'm sharing it without the names concerned and keeping it as anonymous as possible, I'm sharing all that I can, and that is good enough for you to understand how powerful past life regression is. So one of these cases was of a 27-28-year-old gentleman who came to me one fine morning with his wife, and he works in the corporate sector. He's extremely educated, well-educated person, well-placed in life, well-settled. And he came to me with a unique problem. He had been under psychiatric treatment for the last 3 years. And basically, he did not have any psychiatric trouble per se, but he had a very disturbed sleep in the night. Right since he was 7 or 8 years old, he used to see one particular dream over and over again. And that dream was haunting him for the last 20 odd years of his life. Since he was 7 or 8 till he was 28 when he came to me, he had been seeing the same dream over and over again. No other dream, can you believe? And while he saw that dream, for majority of the night, he would see the same dream would keep on replaying, and he would have distorted sleep. I'll not go into too much of the specifics of the dream, I'll just share broad glimpses with you. So he would see a railway station. That was the first thing that he would see in his dream. But he could not read the name of the railway station very clearly. But yes, seeing the tracks and the yellow board of the railway station, he knew this was a railway station. Then he could see a village where there were lots of fields, and the fields had sugarcane growing in them. Then he could see a house, an old house, ancient house, dating back maybe 70 to 80 years in history. That's what he sensed basis the way he explained the house to me. And he could see a few people in that house. And then he sees a lady standing on the station, and she looked very much like him. So a lady whose face appeared similar to his face in the current birth, and she's standing at the station with a small trunk in her hands, and she has desperation on her face. And suddenly people start screaming from behind, calling out her name, and the name he used to hear in his dream regularly was Radha. So the name of the girl presumably was Radha. So he could hear screams of Radha, 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 violent screams, and then he could see people running with sticks in their hands, bamboo sticks in their hands. And then he would see that horrific scene where a person uses a big sword. He had a huge sword in his hands. The person has a pagdi on his head. He has a big sword in his hands, and he kills Radha on the station. He stabs Radha with the sword and kills her. And he had been seeing this horrific dream since he was 7 to 8 years old. He was stunned, he was surprised. When he saw this for the first time, he was just a child. So he shared it with his parents. Parents thought this is just probably a child creating his own stories. But as he grew up, his parents realized that this was something different. So they consulted a lot of, before going to a doctor, they consulted spiritual guides, gurus, etc. to find out a solution. They thought maybe this is an influence of some black magic or something like that. But nothing of what they did really succeeded. Finally, when he was about 23-24 years old, he decided he will take things into his own hands. The scientific mind that he was, he decided to visit a psychiatrist. So psychiatrist prescribed him normal routine sleep enhancing drugs and certain mild drugs for which would help him not hallucinate. So this was the broad level of medication given to him by the psychiatrist, but that's all the psychiatrist could do. And now that he had not found peace in spite of taking medication for 3 to 4 years, he would have sleep because of the sleep enhancing drugs, but nonetheless the moment that dream came in, the dream would take away everything. All the peace of his mind would be gone and he could not sleep during that period. So in the last few years, that poor boy had slept only for about 2 to 3 hours every night. And he came to me and he shared his predicament with me and he asked me if I could solve his problem. I knew somewhere what he said had some connect with his prior life. He was a classic subject who had to be put into past life regression. Yes, we arranged a session for him. I convinced him. He was a non-believer in past life regression. He did not believe in subconscious mind and similar theories. So it was very difficult for me to convince him. And end of the day, the situation was Mara kya na karta. He had gone everywhere. He had gone to doctors. He had gone to spiritual gurus. Nobody could help him. So now he was desperate. Anything which could help him solve his problem, even if it was beyond his belief system, he was ready to try that. So finally, myself and his wife convinced him to go through the regression, and here is what happened in the regression. You won't believe. He was one of those strangest subjects I have ever seen while doing past life regression. Generally, when you help a person get into regression, he takes a few minutes, maybe 20-25 minutes, to get into the regression mode, to peep into that particular cell of his subconscious mind where his prior birth is stored. But surprisingly, in this person's case, the moment he was put to regression, even before the process of regression could be fully completed, he just started blurting out a story. And the story he blurted out, what he could see in his regression, kind of left both of us dazed. His wife, as also me, we were both sitting in the room as the regression process was going on and we were stunned. His wife had tears in her eyes as she heard everything that her husband was narrating. So of course I don't have the time to narrate everything in this video, but let me share with you glimpses of what he said. So he said this was a birth, his prior birth, and this would have been maybe close to 60 years from that particular date, and he could see himself as Radha, the girl he would be constantly seeing in his dreams, and she would have been a 19 or a 20-year-old girl. And he explained, he saw the full story, he narrated the full story to us. The regression went on for a very long time. This was one of the longest regression sessions I ever had. I'll share in a nutshell the story with you. So he was this girl called Radha. He came from a village in rural Maharashtra. He named the village as well. And Radha was the daughter of one of the most respectable people in that particular village. So there were these two brothers. Radha was the daughter of the elder brother. This elder brother also had a younger brother, and they were a very reputed family in that village. Unfortunately, Radha fell in love with a lower caste, poor boy. And in those days, the caste system was very strongly prevalent. In majority of India, this was treated as a stigma, a taboo, and one was his caste. Second was that he was extremely poor, and Radha came from a very, very rich family. So her family could not digest this stigma. Hence, the family did a conspiracy. Radha's father decided to eliminate this boy with whom Radha was having an affair. And unfortunately, Radha was also pregnant to the child of this particular person, which Radha's father was not aware of. The fact that Radha was pregnant, already pregnant, was not in the awareness of Radha's father. Radha's father only knew that she had an affair with this low class boy. So he decided to eliminate this boy. He got a few goons and ensured that the boy was murdered. In fact, this murder happened on the night when Radha and that boy were to elope together from the village. Radha had been called by the boy to the railway station. Radha filled up her trunk with all her humble belongings and she reached the railway station in the hope that her boyfriend would come in and they would leave the village and they would settle somewhere else and start life afresh. But unfortunately, that was never meant to happen. Radha's father got the boy murdered the day on which they were supposed to elope, and then her father got a sense that Radha is at the station waiting for the boy, so he went along with a lot of villagers to the railway station, and that's where that dream where he could hear the sound of people screaming wildly Radha, Radha, Radha at her, and she having a terrified look on her face and seeing back and seeing her father and her uncle and all the other villagers with sticks and swords in their hand. And then, can you believe, her father took the sword and murdered her for having done what she had done. In those days, grace and family name and all such other stuff was more important. The paradox of the situation, can you believe, all these things were more important than the life of a person, and that too a girl whom you had given birth to. A father doing this to his own daughter, you could not have a more brutal case to narrate. And this is how the story unfolded, and that's how Radha died in that particular birth. And then that's where my client also told me, I'll not name him, what is his name in this birth. He showed me his stomach. There's a small 2-inch kind of mark on his stomach, exactly at the place where presumably Radha was stabbed by her father with the sword. That mark still continues to remain on his stomach in this birth as well. He narrated a lot of other facts associated with his prior life which are not of relevance in the context. What we wanted was this part of the story, and this is the reason why he was time and again seeing that particular dream. I asked him, did you figure out the name of the station, railway station? He knew the name of the village, he knew the name of the railway station. Now he had recalled a lot of his prior birth, that particular birth. I said, okay, fine, now you have seen something. This all may sound unbelievable to you, more so because you are a scientific mind. Why don't you drive to this particular village? We know the name of the village now. We googled on the mobile and we found that yes, there is indeed a village by that particular name in rural Maharashtra. So I said, why don't you go to that village and do some fact finding? And I'm sure after your fact finding, once your faith is reinforced in the process that you underwent, you will definitely be able to rid yourself of your dream. You will not have your dream thereafter again. Things will improve after that. They bid goodbye to me and they left. And yes, after about a month they came back to me giving me news about their research. The boy was very curious to go and find out if what he had seen was real. He reached that particular village, he met the sarpanch of that village, and the sarpanch of that village guided them to a family in the village where indeed a girl called Radha once lived around 40-45 years back, and Radha had been brutally murdered by her father exactly the way he had narrated it during the regression. The sarpanch was also stunned to hear the story. In fact, the sarpanch of that village was a part of the mob which had gone to attack Radha. He was just a 15-20-year-old kid at that point of time when this incident had happened. So he had a chilling recount of what his young eyes had seen 40-45 years back, and he was stunned as to how this gentleman knew about that story. He guided them to the house of Radha, and when they went and met people there, all the whole mob, they realized that the whole mob had been jailed for the crime. Radha's father had been put to life imprisonment and he had died while he was in jail. Radha's uncle also had got life imprisonment because of the crime, because both of them were involved in the murder and both of them had died. Radha's father had died while in jail. Radha's uncle died immediately after he was released from jail after completing his term. A lot of other people also were involved in that murder and all of them had different sentences in jail. And now this birth gentleman who was Radha in his prior birth had the privilege of meeting his cousins of his prior birth. So he met up with his uncle's children over there, the uncle's family. Radha did not have any other siblings. She was the lone daughter of her father. He met up with children of his uncle, his cousins, and who were all now pretty aged. They were all in their 50s or 60s, and it was a very kind of strange reunion. Of course, when this boy went there, he did not have any recollection of his home or anything else. What he had a recollection of was only what he saw during the regression period. He did not recollect anything when he went there and saw things in front of him. His mind had forgotten everything, but what he had seen in the regression was recorded on his mobile phone. So basis that recount, everything that he had said about his prior birth was proven true. In fact, he had taken names during the regression of all his cousins. He had taken the name of his father, he had taken the name of his uncle, he had taken the name of most of the people who were there in the mob, and the sarpanch and everybody else who heard that audio clipping of the regression were surprised to note how the same names had been reiterated by somebody who was not in existence at the point of time when this incident happened. So not only did this incident help that gentleman, because this was a case of past life regression, and after he went and discovered all of this, within a month's time his sleep cycle started improving, and now it's been about 6 months since that past life regression which I have done, and that gentleman has absolutely peaceful sleep every night. Now he does not see that dream. Once in a while, yes, that dream does come to haunt him, and that is going to stay with him for some more time. It does not, things like these, wounds like these don't heal so easily. But once you know the reason for that particular wound, that acts as a balm, and now he has peaceful sleep on most nights. Once in a while he sees that dream, but even when he sees that dream now, his mind is strong enough to combat what he is seeing, because now he knows the reality. His subconscious mind was desperately trying to tell him that there was something wrong in his prior birth, and his subconscious mind wanted him to remember what had happened, what had gone wrong with him in his prior birth. And that is what he actually, once he discovered that, after that, that dream was not troubling him or causing him much of an unrest. Now it's been 6 months. Now he has peaceful sleep. He's absolutely fine. Once in a while he has the dream, but that's okay. And he's been weaned off completely from all the medication that he was taking. He was taking drugs for hallucination, and honestly he did not need those drugs. He was mentally okay. There was no mental disorder with him, but medical science has to give drugs has to do symptomatic treatment, and medical science does not believe in a past life regression or things like these. Medical science just believes that okay, you took the medicine for a while and you are now healed of your problem. But he knows, and I know, and now you also know how he got healed of his problem. So this was one very, very interesting case. I had one more case where somebody went into regression. I'll not get into the story of that girl who went into regression. The specifics don't count here. I'll just come to the bottom line. She used to be a queen in one of her prior births, and she was a queen married to a king in one of the provinces of Rajasthan. She narrated her name, her husband's name and everything. She shared so many details during her regression, and one very interesting fact which I noted was that she also referred to me in that particular dream. So I have done my past life regression as well, and in the regressions that I did, I could see my prior births. So every regression generally gives you a glimpse of one particular birth of your past, and I have done multiple regressions for myself just out of my curiosity, to satiate my curiosity levels, and I could see a lot of my prior births. In one of my prior births, I was living in a village in Rajasthan, and I was an artisan, gold artisan. So in those days, temples used to have a lot of gold work. I was one of those artisans who knew how to work with gold and do fine kind of carving work with gold in temples. And this lady who was undergoing regression under me, she was a queen in one of her prior births of that same, and that village came under her territory, and she narrated in her regression an incident where she comes to a temple which is under construction. This temple was being constructed by her husband, and I was sitting there as a laborer, as an artisan working in that temple, and this was a day where the heat was, there was scorching sun on the head. It was extremely hot, and in those days artisans and laborers were subject to very inhuman conditions. They were not even given basics like food and water. So I was a poor artisan there working in the temple doing my work, and I was perspiring profusely and extremely thirsty. And when this queen entered the temple, I looked at her with eyes of pity and requested her if she could get me some water. In those days, queens were not supposed to talk to normal people, and especially not people who were as low as me, like an artisan working in a temple. But however, my thirst was so strong that I had to overcome the fear of the consequences of talking to the queen, and I went and spoke to her, and I asked for water while nobody else was looking at both of us. And the queen was kind enough to send her maid to get a pitcher of water along with a glass, and she gave me that water, and I quenched my thirst, and I thanked her profusely in the temple. And she could see this whole incident in front of her eyes during her regression. She narrated it. You won't believe. And I was shell shocked as to how on earth does she know that I was an artisan working with gold and doing carvings in temples in Rajasthan in one of my prior births. If this was not true, how could she take my name, and how did she know about my prior birth? I had never told her about my prior birth. I was just about 1 hour old to her. She had just come to me, and I put her into regression. So by no stretch of imagination should she have known that in one of my prior births I was in Rajasthan and doing this. And she narrated this incident, and probably this is how karma works. She had quenched my thirst someday. She had gone out of the way to help me. Maybe she had saved my life by giving me water, because she explained to me that I was gasping for breath. I was so thirsty and there was no water around that temple, and she had kind of got her maid to get the water, and she virtually saved my life. And because she had helped me that particular day in that particular birth, today possibly I was sitting in front of her and helping her with the regression and remember her past and come out of her problems. So that's how wonderful karma is. That's how interesting and intriguing past life regression is. Before this, I'm sure you were a non-believer, but after these two narrations, I'm sure you would have realized that yes, past life regression also has its own standing, and for a believer it is everything. For a non-believer, it is just worth 3 words: past life regression. Yes, so now that you know what past life regression is and what hypnotherapists do when a subject is put to past life regression, I'm planning to make a video to help people do past life regression for themselves, sitting in their home without the need for a hypnotherapist. You may go and search on YouTube or wherever you want on the net. You will find at least 100 or 200 videos, audio guides on past life regression. But take my words, none of them will help you successfully achieve the regression stage. Past life regression is a very intense activity. I'm taking up the challenge of making a audio clipping of this intense activity, and without me being there in front of you, you shall still attain that particular stage where you will be able to peep into your past and pull out records from the same. Of course, I will give you a lot of instructions associated with how you are supposed to do it. It will have to be done under adult supervision. There has to be one adult in the room when you are doing it. How he will have to conduct the regression, that also I will explain, and I'll be giving the audio file and everything that has to be done, how what you speak during regression has to be recorded. All those instructions will come in. So this is for all those inquisitive people who want to take a try at it. It is said that unless and until you have a phobia or a fear psychosis about something, or you are regularly seeing a dream, you should not get into this particular stuff, into past life regression. Rightly so, because our past, like it has good stories for us, there are also certain bad things which have happened with us in the past. So only if you are strong enough to digest what has happened with you in your prior life, in your past, see the bad things also along with the good things. If you are strong enough, then I would recommend you to do this exercise, not otherwise. And I'll be sharing the video in a couple of days, the audio clipping for the same in a couple of days. And if you are not strong enough to digest, or if you are soft in your heart or in your mind, you can't take bad things very easily, then I would recommend you with folded hands, please don't do it. 15-20 years back, this was a strict no. You couldn't do past life regression unless and until you had a compelling reason to do it. But times have changed. Yes, 20 years back, nobody would have thought they could do bungee jumping from a hill into a cliff. Today, anybody and everybody is doing it. So many people are jumping from aeroplanes and having parachutes on their back. They are doing skydiving. Skydiving was not known 20 years back. So a lot of things which were extremely feared 20-30 years back today are a part and parcel of our life. So is past life regression. Now the kind of stress that we people are taking in our day-to-day life and all the difficulties that we face. So yes, in those kind of situations, connecting with your subconscious will help you come out of a lot of problems, lot of stress, lot of difficulties. And past life regression is nothing but a direct connect with your subconscious mind for a particular purpose. So while I would not prohibit you from doing past life regression, even if you don't have a phobia or a fear or a dream which is haunting you over and over again, I would also caution you that do it only if you have a strong mind. If you don't have a strong mind, be happy with this video. You now know what past life regression is. Don't go beyond. Don't look into my next video, which is to do with the process for doing the regression. But if you are brave-hearted, if you are inquisitive, and if you want to look beyond the obvious, then yes, my next video is going to excite you, definitely. I'm sorry for making this video really long, but I'm sure you have learned a lot out of this video, and now you shall eagerly look forward to my next video, where I shall give you an authentic guide to doing past life regression on your own in your house. This is going to be the world's first ever video which will make you go into the regression stage if you are competent enough to achieve that stage. That's my promise to you. All the other videos on YouTube or wherever available, they don't intend to take you to that particular state. They will only take you till a particular level, and then they will leave you there so that you go back to the owner of that video, write to him, and then seek his help, going to him so that he can help you do the past life regression. The goal here is not to get you to me. The goal here is to empower you to do it on your own. So I shall be taking this brave attempt at making this video. It's extremely difficult. You go to a hypnotherapist, an authentic, genuine hypnotherapist, and he'll say bluntly, sorry, without a hypnotherapist you can't do past life regression. I'm looking beyond the obvious. I'm challenging myself to make a video where yes, you will be able to do it even without a hypnotherapist standing in front of you. So wait eagerly for that video of mine. Trust you like this video. If you liked it, click the like icon below this video. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, immediately click the subscribe button. Press the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you receive notifications from my channel for all future videos uploaded. And last but not the least, if you have liked this video, if this video has enlightened you, please leave a comment, a word or two in the comment section of this video. And yes, goes without saying, please wait eagerly for my next video where I shall make you do the regression. Thank you so much. God bless you. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful life ahead.